And that is with working 50 or 60 hours because we suck so fucking much at what we do. And we're operating control chaos. We have to work extended hours.
Losers allow their emotions to dictate their actions, but winners choose which emotion to use to get the desired result.
Yeah. You're going to get more. If you're Scrooge McDuck, if you're Ebenezer Scrooge, if you were that type of manager, well, guess what? You'll get more. You'll get more juice out of the squeeze if you're not just focusing on one thing.
Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is L.A. Williams, Vice President with Dealer Synergy and the Blind Master, and I am pumped up, fired up, super excited because I got along with me my main man, the one and only Mr. Sean V. Bradley, CSP. What's going on, Sean?
What's up, brother? It is 2026, and your boy's in the mix.
Let's go.
You know what it is. Let's go.
100%. So what are we going to talk about today? Today, we're going to talk about something that is killing dealerships, right? Left and right. What is that? Well, it's why it's getting harder and harder to keep good quality teammates, right? What is the struggle? What's going on around here? Because it seems like every time you got somebody good, either they leave or we got to ask ourselves, were they good in the first place? Like, what is the deal? Sean, how you always say it? Did we hire them dead?
Hire them dead or kill them after you got them. So here's the reality, LA. Every dealer's saying the same thing. Nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody wants to work. And the people that do want to work, they're schleps. That's not true. Let me explain something to you. You get what you put into this. Remember that Dr. Covey says that you could tell what's important to people by their spends, where they spend their time and where they spend their money. So you got to just ask yourself, if you are having HR difficulties or you're having quality performance issues within your team, how much time are you spending training and developing these people, right? Yeah. So let's say after you get your team, how much time are you spending in training and investing in skill path training, in professional development, in personal development, in team building? Because here's the answer. If you don't have a budget to develop your people, what do you expect? If you are not training them on product knowledge, on the road to the sale, on internet sales, on phone sales, on BDC, on CRM, on AI, on projecting and forecasting, qualifying, identifying, meeting and exceeding expectations, value package proposition, marketing, advertising, branding, video, social media, work-life balance, communication, and there's so much more. I'm like, I ran out of breath. Like LA, people don't realize how many different things they need to train on. Now, wait a minute, whoa. I ain't done yet, son. You fall back. So in addition to that, did we kill them after we got them? And here's the other thing. If you're not spending time properly recruiting, if you've never began with the end result in mind and then said, you know what, for my showroom sales team, here's what I would love for them to know and be able to do. For my BDC reps, here's what I'd love them to know and be able to do. For my management team, here's what I need them to know and be able to do. If you have not done that, then what do you expect? If you are not properly recruiting with the right amount of time, if you're not using ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, Indeed.com to have an omnipresent recruiting strategy, if you are not always looking for talent all over the place, if you don't have relationships with your local universities, with the high schools, with the vocational schools, with the unemployment office, with the town, with the county, with the state, you are not maximizing. See, what happens is we spend the least amount of time recruiting and hiring the right people, so we get what we get and we try to do what we do, and that's what gives us agita.
Exactly. So basically what I'm getting you saying is it's not simply a recruiting problem. It's more of a leadership problem, right? And so when we come back from break, we're going to break down the real reasons, not the fake reasons, not the reasons that people want to whine about and all that. We're going to talk about the real reasons that dealerships are bleeding top talent and what has to change immediately. All right. So listen, I promise y'all, we will be right back. We're going to solve these challenges when we come back. It's the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast.
If you're looking for the absolute best automotive sales training from the #1 millionaire car salesman in the world, Cody Carter, who sold 1,408 units in 2023 and made $1.2 million in personal income, make sure you sign up for Cody's 24/7 video on-demand training, tracking, and testing certification program, Sell Like Cody. That's right, Sell Like Cody is on Bradley On Demand. Cody covers absolutely everything in his successful selling process. If you want to learn how to sell more cars, more often, and more profitably, enroll now at bradleyondemand.com or contact Dealer Synergy today.
Thank you for calling Doing It Wrong Motors. How can I help you?
I was looking at the tan 2023 GMC Terrain. You guys still have that?
Oh, sorry. That vehicle's been sold.
Could this be happening at your dealership? Get the Dealer Synergy team to handle calls the right way. We'll gather all the information, drop it in the CRM, set a solid appointment with notes, so all you have to do is sell. Do yourself a favor and go to dealersynergy.com for a free demo.
And no more of this burning through phone-ups nonsense.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And as we talked about, we're going to discuss, how the workforce has really changed. But most dealerships have it, right? And again, we want to be victim blaming and all that kind of stuff. That's not what's going on here. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of folks are still using a 2005 playbook, right, in 2026, and that's not going to work out, right? So and one of the things that we hear all the time is, back in my day, it didn't have to work. Oh, you didn't have to. All you did was such and such and such. Well, this is not back in your day, right? So what is different, Sean? What would you say? What's different about today's employees that, because you even talk about it, the things that people have to be concerned about. You always say, they used to say that sales is not rocket science. Car sales is not rocket science. But
you're going to answer your own question or let me answer?
Well, I want you to answer, but I wanted to kind of tee it up real quick.
I'm just having fun with you, brother. So again, for me, the question is, what is different about today's employee? The answer is everything. The world has changed. We live in 2026 with advanced artificial intelligence that's pushing the envelope to super intelligence. So that has changed everything. It changes the way that both businesses, like the dealer principal, the GM, all the middle management, and then all the frontline people from sales reps, BDC reps, service writers, etc. It changes the way that we engage everything, the way that we engage leads, the way we engage buyers, the way that we engage technology, the way that we engage our business is completely paradigm shifted. Second is on the same trajectory, though, is that humans, like the prospects, the way that they research, the way that they, ask. I mean, so many people now are using Chat GPT instead of Google. They're using Chat GPT and Google Gemini and Elon Musk Gronk the way that we used to use Google. Like we use Google as a verb. I Googled it. Well, They're now Chat GPT in it. And so when you have so much more detailed information, this raises the expectations. You got to understand that. So now I'm even more impatient. I'm even more specific with quality because I now have all this power of AI behind me. Next. The second thing that's changed is the fact that technology, not just the software or like AI, but the hardware, CRMs are changing and evolving. There's been a landscape shift. Like for so many years, there was, tools like Dealer Socket and eLead and Promax now, and VinSolutions now, Drive Centric and Techion are making a run for it. And so there's some good things with this new technology, but there's a lot of bad things. So dealers are changing technologies. Why? Because they think, just like salespeople think that the grass is greener on the other side. Well, dealers are doing the same dumb shit. They're jumping vendors. They're jumping AI vendors. They're jumping CRM vendors. They're jumping website vendors, thinking that other vendors are going to make it better. But they don't realize if you don't set up the tools the right way, you don't train your people how to use them, it almost doesn't even matter what the tool is because you could keep changing the tool. But if you don't set up the other tool the right way, you don't train your people how to use that tool the right way, you're not holding it accountable, then you're going to have still the same mediocrity. So technology is evolving. You know what's not changing? The attrition. The attrition is still hovering at over 70%. So, you know, the world's changing, but the attrition is just as bad. Now, here is what else is changing. The market's changed. If you look at interest rates, you know, are higher. Cost of vehicles are dramatically higher. Car payments are higher. Everything's more and more and more and more and more, except, you know, on the same side of it is that we have more inventory, more rebates, more incentives, more discounting. So I'd say that we are in a quiet storm, LA. We are in a tsunami of a storm of reality that's here. So again, employees, here's what I want you to talk about right here. Yeah. Right now, employees value time, flexibility, and transparency. Especially the younger generation, they won't tolerate a toxic culture. You know, social media exposes, bad leadership instantly. You know, there's a lot of dealers don't even know that there are dealership reviews for employment. Mm-hmm. So I'm not talking about Google reviews. I'm not talking about Yelp reviews, but most dealers don't realize if they type in their name, like ABC Motors and Indeed reviews, or ABC Motors and Glassdoor reviews, their employment reviews. Yeah. More than 70% of dealers don't even know in 2026 that there are a tremendous amount of people that see massive value in employment reviews on Indeed.com and Glassdoor for dealerships. They have no idea. The other thing is employees are no longer afraid to leave. They're not a slave to the dealership, because with AI and Uber and TikTok and Instagram influencers and all this other stuff, they got more muscles than anything. All right, you want to talk shit to me? I'm out. Oh, you want to slave drive me? I'm out. Oh, you want to harass me? I'm out. Oh, you don't want to pay me right? You want to play my pay plan? I'm out. These people don't have the tolerance for bullshit, because there's so many more options that are there. What is your opinion, LA?
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it, Sean. Even you coming out of the dealership, right? One of the reasons why you left is because you had that entrepreneurial mind. You said, "Goodness gracious, if you're willing to pay me this, right? What would the market be willing to pay me for all of my information? I feel like I'm, worth way more, right?" And so a lot of times people are feeling that way, right? People are feeling like, especially because of the pandemic. The pandemic made people think maybe a little ill-advisedly, right? That, listen, my time is more, it's worth way more than this. I could be doing this. I could be doing that. Okay. Well, sometimes folks need to be kind of reminded, but at the same time, there are things they can be doing. You mentioned it yourself, Sean. You just said, I could be Uber and I could be this and still have that freedom, that flexibility. But I also think transparency is the key. I know for me, one of the things that really, I believe, shines for me as a leader is I'm extremely transparent. Like, it is what it is. Because I'm blind, there are things that I need assistance with. There are things I have to ask for. There are things that, like, just ways that I need to be with my people, just letting them know, hey, let me explain to you what's really going on so that you know exactly what you're working with. And I think people appreciate that type of stuff. They don't like for stuff to be hidden from them. Man, because again, as you said, Sean, everything is exposed. Everything is out there when it comes to AI, and just the internet just has all that information out there. You can't really hide the fact that the dealership is having whatever types of challenges it's having, because I promise you, the internet knows, right? So those are the types 100%. Of things we got to start with.
I would agree. So at the end of the day, on the first part of the talking points, people value their time. So if you want to hire and keep good people, you can't turn around and get people to work bell to bell. So you might say we can, but why do you? The whole point is this. Follow me on this, guys. This is such an archaic thing that do you know why we work bell to bells? Not because we want to slave drive people, because we lived in a world of mediocrity. LA, you got to realize I've been doing this for almost 30 years. And for 30 years, still, you know what the damn average has always been? Roughly 9 to 10 cars. Yeah. In 30 years, I've been doing this. The average salesperson does 9 to 10 cars. And that is with working 50 or 60 hours, because we suck so fucking much at what we do, and we're operating control chaos, we have to work extended hours.
Yeah.
We've got to do bell to bells just to get the basic mediocrity of 9 to 10 car sales. So understand, if you don't understand why we're doing this stupidity, it's because we suck so much as an industry in being able to prepare our people, whether it's hiring the right people, onboarding the right people, training them and developing them. We have to extend the hours so we could get the basic mediocrity. Here's a simple freaking strategy. Let's do proper recruiting. Let's hire real quality people. Let's have an actual real onboarding program, a real training program. Again, I'm speaking as a trainer. I mean, we've been in business for 22 straight years, training over 4,500 rooftops. We do on-site training. We do Zoom training. We do Bradley on demand, video on demand training, tracking, testing, certification. We have artificial intelligence role-playing software for inbound, outbound, internet, phones, BDC, showroom sales for AI role-playing training. We've got AI scorecard training. We do mystery shopping, call monitoring, and phone coaching, phone training. We do CRM audits. We do all that stuff for a reason because it's important. And then look what happens when we do all that stuff. Cover after cover after cover after cover. There's a reason why the number one Chevy dealer in the world, McCluskey Chevy, is our client. There is a reason why the number one car salesman in the world, Cody Carter, is our client. There is a reason why huge dealer groups like Coons, Norm Reeves, Lithia, etc., are our clients, because not only we get results because we have a good training program. So again, if you're not using Dealer Synergy, it is what it is, but you need a training strategy, because if you prepare your people the right way, they're going to be more effective, be more successful, and you're not going to need to stress them and work ridiculous hours. Because here's the reality. You know, the high level people, I'm going to name names: Cody Carter, Ali Retta,
Check.
Frank Criniti, Chrissy Burton. None of these people are working bell to bells. None of these people are working 50 or 60 hours. These people, some don't even work weekends. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they have built their business within the dealership's business. Now, the other thing is, I mentioned younger generations don't tolerate toxic work culture. They're like, I don't care. I'd rather be unemployed or do Uber Dash than deal with your bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, again. And you got to remember something. Back in the day when I got into this, a lot of us that are in the automotive industry, it's because we're here by what? By circumstance. How many people grow up to their mom and dads and say, you know what? I want to go to MIT. I want to be a scientist. I want to be an engineer. Oh, no. Fuck all that. I want to be a car salesman or car saleswoman. That doesn't happen. Most people come into our industry because of desperation, by accident, or something happened and they just were here. Do you understand that? This is not one of the professions that are like lawyers, doctors, astronauts, engineers, or whatever, even though you can make a ton of money. So I got to understand is that nowadays people have more transparency with social media, with AI, with all this other shit, that we don't have to hold people hostage. They're not going to be held hostage like Stockholm syndrome. If we don't do what we're supposed to do, they're going to be out. And social media exposes bad leadership. Even in our Millionaire Car Salesman Facebook group, how many times do you see anonymous posts, people that are posting anonymously, but they're talking about the toxic culture? Every day I see a post in our group that's talking about this crazy manager or this crazy situation or this pay plan, sabotage or these crazy things. Yeah. Employees are no longer scared, bro. So LA. So tell us about some leadership gaps, like, promoted without being prepared. I want you to talk about that.
Well, for me, I definitely believe that people don't quit. They don't quit careers. I think more so they quit the environment, right? And so when you talk about leaderships, right? When you talk about leadership, understand that top salespeople don't automatically make great leaders. A lot of times what happens is, okay, who's the next manager? We're looking for a next manager. Okay, who's our top salesperson? We'll make them the manager. Yeah, not really a good idea. Why? Because they have the skill to sell cars. They know how to do that part of it. But when it comes to managing people, yeah, nobody ever gave them that information. Nobody ever taught them how to do that, right? So these are some of the simple things that we got to do. We got to breathe, not just belief, right? We got to breathe like skills. We got to show folks how to manage. Show how many people know that managing people is totally different than selling a car, right? It's just different.
I would agree, LA. There are so many fires that are created because we are promoting the wrong people. But I get it. And here's what, like, for example, a BDC rep. Why in the hell would you consider promoting a BDC rep to a manager, of the department when they've never even sold a car before on the floor. They've never even taken it up before. They've never been a manager before. They've never been a sales manager. They've never dusted a deal. They've never been, a real strong TO closer. But yet you're going to put that there. You know why? I'll give you 3 reasons why they do that, LA. Okay. Reason number 1 is because they're lazy. Because it's not easy finding quality people, especially if you're not recruiting properly. You have a crappy pay plan, you have a crappy reputation. So it's too hard, to find a good person, or I can't find a good manager. So instead, my great idea is I'm going to hire somebody that sucks or is not qualified because I have no other choice. Okay. Keep telling yourself that. Here's the problem though with that is, you know how many times even a strong, skilled, experienced director gets treated like a bastard manager? They get treated like a secondary citizen because that's the culture. That's not fair and it's not good, but that's the reality. Most internet directors or BDC managers are perceived as second-rate managers and not really as relevant or as important as real managers. That's the freaking culture. And here's why. Because if I'm a car guy, if I've been in there for a couple years to a couple decades and I have some BDC rep that's now a BDC manager telling me to go do this or do that, I'm like, look at you freaking crazy. Who are you? You've never even taken it up before. And I'm going to go fling you, like go fly a kite. And now if you don't think that's the reality, now you might have a super special person that everybody loves, but I am telling you from almost 30 years of experience here, if you've never taken it up before, you've never sold a car before, you've never been a manager before, who do you think is really going to listen to you and pay attention to you and take you really seriously? And even if they did, what freaking value are you going to tell me? I'm a 30 car guy, legitimately verified, and I work hard and I've been doing this for decades, and I'm going to have a glorified, receptionist manager telling me what to do and what I did wrong. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. I might get a couple nuggets, but I don't think it's going to be really valuable. The other reason why LA that people do this besides, being lazy is because they don't know any better. They think inaccurately, well, hey, they're a good BDC rep. They could be a good, BDC director. Hey, they're a great salesperson. They could be a great mentor. Here's the problem. If you promote somebody without the training, it's going to backfire in your face. So I'm not saying that your instinct is incorrect because I've promoted people too. But the difference is this. I've promoted them with a plan. I promoted them with a strategy, and I promoted them with training, certification, and validation. So if I am going to take a BDC rep and make them a BDC manager, they need to go through, check this out, showroom sales certification, showroom sales training. I want them to be able to sell a car. I would want them to be able to eventually get sales management training, desking training, and then obviously internet director training. So same thing if I'm going to have somebody that is, I'm going to promote to a sales manager. Okay, great. I need to give you sales management training. I need to make sure that you actually got all of this type of training. If not, it's going to blow up in the face. They need leadership training. They need to, manage with coaching, not with fear. They need to have, clear rules. And again, LA, you give us some pointers on this.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about this one, right? Because I like what you just said, managing with fear instead of coaching. Because it's easy to be like, listen, if we don't have 100 appointments this week, I'm rolling some heads, you know what I'm saying? And everybody, oh my God. Oh. So, and that's the kind of stuff that happens. We know good, well, it happens, right? So, but it takes a real, like, I'm going to just say it like this. And then I mean females too when I say that. It takes a real man to sit down with someone and actually find out what they're human. There we go. Right. Have a chat they got challenges. You sit down with them and walk them through and actually coach a person up. Right. We got inconsistent rules and favoritism. This person, they don't have to do such and such and such, but you do. Right. I mean, and we don't say those things directly, but come on, we all see it. We all see the person that gets the extra stuff that doesn't really deserve it. Now, when a person deserves it, absolutely, we're all about it, right? The spoils go to the victor, right? So I get that part of it, but so many times there is favoritism. There is, that's the good old boy club and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get it right. And then the other thing is numbers over people. Here's the situation. I don't care what numbers you bring to the table. As a matter of fact, it's because you bring these sort of quote unquote numbers to the table that if you're not the right type of person, oh, you got to go, right? Because you're not worth the damage to my culture, right? Culture is everything. We just finished talking about that. People leave the environment. It's not that they leave the career, they leave the environment. So you got to make sure your culture is straight, man. That's huge. You don't want to have no cancerous culture, even if they are a 30-car person. No, get out of here.
But that's hard. LA, I'm going to jump in because I agree with you. Even with our own company, if we've got a rock star, what have you, but if they have, that independent or codependent mindset, if they're not about interdependence or synergy, they're not going to last here because the team is always going to be more important and greater than the individual person. Mm-hmm. But a lot of dealers, they say that until push comes to shove and they're like, oh shit, I don't want to lose that 20-car person or even worse, the 30-car person, because it's that instant gratification instead of the overall. But LA, I want to transition to this to the, another big problem I see is the pay plan and promises and broken trust.
Oh, yeah, that's a big deal. Because you see that in the group all the time too, right, Sean?
Yeah, no, that's one of the biggest things that are in our group. It's the pay plan. Again, let's talk about the money because trust dies here first. If you don't have the right pay plan that's built around the reality of 2026, if you're still using the pay plan from 2024, 2020, or from 1990 or worse, somewhere around that area, then you're not making any sense. Yeah. You have to have a pay plan that is conducive for our reality for 2026. Second, the pay plan has to be relevant towards that particular role as well as their specific responsibilities. I'll give you one simple example, LA. I see a lot of BDC reps plans that if you are a BDC rep or an internet coordinator, an appointment setter, if you will, I don't care if you're outsourced or in-house, if you are an appointment setter and you are not doing any product presentation, demonstration drive, or delivery, if you're not in charge of any of that stuff, if your mission is complete once you make an appointment and they show up or don't show up, then how are we putting the majority of their compensation on a variable they have zero control over? So if I keep waving a carrot to the sale, but I have zero control or zero influence on the sale, that's a crappy pay plan. You might beg to differ, but I'm an internet BDC expert. I've been doing internet BDC in our industry for almost 30 straight years. I built thousands of dealerships, internet BDCs. So I don't think there's anybody in the United States that has my unique experience level, to be honest with you. There isn't. But even if there were, there'll be like onesies or twosies on one hand. I could count anybody that's got that experience. And I'm telling you, like, if you really think about it, you need to incentivize people for what they've got direct control over. Yeah. I'm going to repeat that. Get it, LA?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that like paying a BDC rep off of sales is like you being paid off of how many pizzas get delivered across the street. You're like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. I ain't got nothing to do with that, right? But that's exactly what we do all the time. Why? Because we know we make money when a car gets sold. However, what we got to do is we got to pay the behavior, right? If we want a certain behavior, we want you to have more people show up to the dealership. So I'm going to provide you, I'm going to compensate you for that behavior. That's what we got to learn how to do. But again, it takes a little bit more of a grown thought persons to do that.
I would agree 100%. The bottom line is this. You don't ever want to change a pay plan. And, again, I take a lot of pride in that I don't change people's pay plans because this is people's livelihoods. It's their money. And let's be honest, the income isn't the number one thing for Americans. You might think it is, but most of us are making less than what we want or less than what we feel we deserve. Mm-hmm. There's other mitigating things, like feeling appreciated, being respected, being part of something that's bigger than you. I mean, there's a whole bunch of mitigating things, work-life balance, yada, yada, yada. But thank God, the most amount of money isn't the number one thing. It's in the top 5. Don't get me wrong. Income and your compensation is in the top 5, but it's not 1, 2, or 3. I think it's either 4 or 5. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it is important. You need to make sure that you are compensating somebody fairly for their efforts, because if they can't survive and they can't do what they do, so that means, look, there needs to be a strategy for a pay plan for training. You should, in my opinion, like not expect somebody to be able in 1 week or even 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, be able to like have enough knowledge of training that they could just make a living for themselves. So you need to have a training pay, a adequate training pay, so people aren't starving or going bigger in the hole as you're training and developing them. You got to look at your new hires as investments. You got to look at your new hires as assets that you got to develop. And when you first get them, they're not going to be able to return the highest amount because you need to pour into them and develop them. How could somebody learn if they're constantly petrified of their lights getting turned out, or they can't turn on it and buy a Christmas gift? I mean, it's sad. I mean, like, look at all the money that dealers spend in charity, like in donations in the community. Look at all the money that we spend in marketing and advertising. We can't even freaking invest in our own people. It makes no sense whatsoever. Invest in your people. The other thing is be freaking strategic. You have multiple ways to compensate people, okay? Whether you have a draw or you have a salary or you have straight commissions, whatever it is, there's your core compensation. Then you have bonuses and you have spiffs. And if you're a franchise dealer, you have OEM spiffs. And then on top of that, you have, potential gifts or contest or things like that. So if you are not leveraging the core pay plan, if you're not, leveraging the base, commissions, bonuses, spiffs, spins, gifts, you're missing an opportunity. Here's another one. If you have a training program, like all my clients, I keep telling them, some of them listen, some of them don't. Okay. But I keep cashing the check regardless, right? Is this, you should tie your training to your pay plan. Again, you have training. Why is training an option? Why is your job description optional? Your training is a condition of employment. For me as a manager, I never had a problem with training. It's really simple. Do it or don't do it. You're either pregnant or not pregnant. You want to work here, and you have to train. You don't want to work here. Can you imagine being on the Philadelphia Eagles? You're like, I don't need to train. I'm Jalen Hurts. I don't need to train. I'm A.J. Brown. I don't need to train. I'm Saquon Barkley. Are you fucking crazy? You be out of here. Like, take your Saquon Barkley ass out of here. Go to the Patriots with that shit. You know what I mean? Because we train here in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that managers, for whatever excuse, are too scared to hold their people accountable to pay plans. I'm worried. Okay, well, how's that working out for you? If you are constantly in chaos and mediocrity and missing shit and getting your ass chewed out by your OEM, get your ass chewed out by the dealer principal, maybe, just maybe, managers, you want to try a different strategy. Maybe start holding your people accountable. Maybe tie their fucking pay plan to their training. Now, you could tie their core pay plan to training, or you could tie their commissions to training, or you could tie their bonuses to training, or you could tie their spiffs to training. But you can do it if you so will. Does that make sense?
It sure does to me. All right. And so you're talking about how we just got to simplify this thing and make sure that people understand it, because people got these overcomplicated pay plans, right? They got constant changes. We was doing that in January. It's March. We done changed it up. Oh, that was last. I was back in. Those are the kind of things that are said. Then you got people who, listen, you know what? You're doing such a good job. We're going to up your pay. I'm going to make sure that you get paid such and such and such because you're so good. And then, 2-3 weeks later, 2-3 months later, it still hasn't been honored, right? These verbal promises ain't nothing, right? With these handshake deals and all that kind of stuff, man. That's why we got to get stuff in writing, right? And then just plain old saying, hey, you can come in here and make 6 figures, knowing good and well your top person sold 11 cars a month last year, right? And so you don't have the skill yet. Why? Because you don't have the training put in place to show somebody how they can make 15, 20, 30, how they can sell 15, 20, 30 cars and make the 8, 10, 12 a month, right? I love how Sean breaks it down, talking about average compensation per copy, right? That's the kind of stuff that folks need to know. If you want to make 6 figures, man, you gotta back into the process. You gotta reverse engineer 100,000. You don't just say it and it happens, right? That's just like New Year's resolutions, man. You don't just say them things and they happen. You got to put some work into it. So those are the kind of conversations we need to have. So listen, Sean, we over here rolling, we rocking and rolling. I know we got some folks who want to help us pay some bills around here. So we're going to let them, kind of give a word to the folks real quick, because we've been kind of getting on them a little bit. When we come back, we are going to have some solutions for y'all. I promise y'all. Y'all, listen, this is the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. We'll be right back.
This has been the most in-depth training I've had in my lot of years in the car business. We went from 60 cars to 156 cars a month in 3 months.
NAMAD, the entire Toyota Chicago region, as well as the top automotive groups like Koons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their team.
There's the most comprehensive training company I've seen, and they by far have the best support system.
Doing 50 cars a month, topped out at 80. I can tell you that the Bradley On Demand training will get you to the next level.
And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand. If you're still not enrolled in Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on the best virtual automotive training in the world. Enroll now or contact us for a free test drive of the platform today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? We are back on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And we've been talking about different reasons why it's difficult to hold on to good talent, right? And I think we left this thing off. We were talking about the trust factor, right? People promising certain stuff, but they're not actually, actually passing off on it, right? So I want to talk about that, Sean. I want you to also talk about culture. How do you, because I love your 4-point game plan when it comes to having proper culture. And I just think we need to talk about that even more. I love when you say how it's about personal development, professional development, training, and team building. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So again, we need to first understand that developing a person is the most important aspect. If you're a Toyota dealership, shout out to Toyota, right? If you're a Toyota dealership, why are some Toyota sales consultants more successful? Why is Cody Carter more successful than the average, Toyota person? Why is, Koons Tyson Toyota, sell 800 units a month from a single point Toyota dealership compared to all the other Toyota dealerships? To me, it has to do with people. It's the same brand, right? It's the same Toyota manufacturer, same franchise. But what's different, the only difference from one Toyota store to the other Toyota store is what their people and their processes. So we first and foremost need to really respect that people are the greatest assets. So now, I'm going to just talk about the culture, LA, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, culture shows up in little moments, not the mission statement, right? So what are the things that I find that drive people away? Well, some of the things are going to be like public embarrassment, yelling on the floor, no recognition, no praise, and, burnout, celebrated as hustle. So let's go through this public embarrassment. So again, I've been both the victim and I've been the victimizer. When I worked at a dealership, I've turned around and I've, been stressed out and I've undressed somebody, metaphorically speaking, like, hey, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Again, as I got older and more experienced, I understand that the proper way to handle somebody is probably privately, not in front of the rest of the team, not in front of the other, subordinates to make them feel inferior or embarrassed or etc. So you want to try to coach them in a private environment. LA, do you want to tab in on this?
Yeah, I think, that's definitely a big deal when it comes to public embarrassment. But I also think that when you don't pour into people, and I've talked about this before, you guys hear me saying this all the time. When you do that, right, I'll give it to you like this. Disney, a gentleman who ran Disney, his name's Lee Cockrell. He was the vice president. And he said he ran Disney on 3 principles. It was encouragement, appreciation, and recognition, right? ARE, encourage, appreciation, recognition, and encouragement. That's how he put it, right? And for me, I say APR, right? Appreciation, praise, and recognition. I think if we could up those, right? Do that stuff in public, right? Do the other stuff in private, then we could be on a whole nother level. But, a challenge, because we react emotionally, right? Because our emotional intelligence is not as high as it ought to be. And I'm going to be talking about that at NADA, right? How we can make sure we get on top of our emotional intelligence quotient, right? But because we're just like reactivity, right? We're not proactive and saying, hey, you know what? How am I going to handle this, right? See, what I always say, Sean, is that losers allow their emotions to control them, right? Losers allow their emotions to dictate their actions. But winners choose which emotion to use to get the desired result, right? So if you want a certain result, whatever result you desire, you got to pick which emotion am I going to use? Okay, you know what? This person didn't respond to this the last time. Here, I'm going to come at it from this angle. I'm going to see how this fits. I'm going to because I know who this person is, I'm going to challenge this person. I'm going to do something different, right? Instead of just doing the same old stuff that I do with everybody else. Listen, people are unique, right? And we got to give them that unique approach. Let's grow up as managers and give a high level approach to working with our people.
100%. And that would go into like yelling on the floor and whatnot. So I agree. We need to be able to be a little more strategic and not as crazy and chaotic as we've been for decades. The other thing I'm going to talk about LA for a second is lack of recognition. Remember I talked about earlier that, people are not just motivated by money. You'd be surprised. One of the things that people are recognized, that are important to them is being recognized and acknowledged for good work. I mean, like, look, a compliment is free. I mean, if I'm a manager, I'm an owner, do I want to give money out of my pocket, or give a compliment? Like if that makes my team feel better by giving them a compliment, not a fake BS, like, oh, you did a great job today. No, you didn't. You know what I mean? But if it's a legit thing, and here's why a lot of people love our Millionaire Car Salesman group, the Facebook group, why there's 30,000 members LA is because we are always championing them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like whenever somebody gets certified, we try to, promote them in the group. Whenever somebody has a success, why people feel special being part of the Millionaire Car Salesman Facebook group? Because we care. We want to celebrate in people's wins or triumphs. You know what I mean? You know what it's like, guys? If you are on the floor and you've been in the business for years and let's say you've been in the business for 4 years and you're only averaging 12 units. Sometimes you have 8, 9, you have 12. I mean, like you kind of get demoted. You get, kind of sad that, man, like I'll never be a 20 car person. I can't even pay my bills. Nobody usually gives a shit about them. They don't try to give them any encouragement at the store. Why? Because they do 8 or 9 cars. They come to our group and they share like, hey, I did a hat trick, or you know what? I sold 14 units today. I know that might not be a lot, but that's my best. And we're sitting there, woo. We're celebrating them because humans need that praise. Humans need that encouragement. I'll give you an example in martial arts, LA. You know why? Like, you know how I'm into Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. There's only for adults a white belt, a blue belt, a purple belt, a brown belt, and black belt. There's only 5 belts. But for kids, there's a lot more. You know why? Because like it literally takes like an adult an average of 2 years to go from white belt to blue belt. And that's it. Can you imagine being a white belt for 2 years? If you weren't committed to success, you're like, man, I ain't doing this shit anymore. This is stupid. I've been a white belt for 2 straight years because we want instant gratification. We want Uber delivery service. We want Amazon drone delivery with everything in life. And if we don't but kids need to see the stripes. I got a white belt with 1 stripe, white belt with 2 stripes, with 3 stripes. Oh, I've got now a yellow belt. I got a yellow belt with stripes. I got an orange belt. So kids have at least double the amount of extra belts because it gives them smaller like frames of wins.
Yeah, they get to the next board.
In 2 years. Say again? Yes, they get bored. They get disenchanted. They get embarrassed. They get frustrated. They get complacent, right? So we need to create that type of recognition. We need it not just financially, which is good. We want to be able to give it emotionally and praise people. And it's not that hard. It could just be an acknowledgement in a team meeting. It might be, like something in like your social media. Hey, we want to just give a shout out to, our salesperson, Brian, is the salesman of the month. Hey, we want to give some shout out to Karina. She is the BDC rep of the month. Hey, we want to shout out our service department. We had a record month here. I mean, this is good social content. It's good for the public to see, hey, we have an award-winning team. We're crushing it here. It's called positive propaganda towards your prospects and your clients, but it's also emotional support and emotional reinforcement to your team. LA, do you agree with this or what?
Man, I'm telling you, you're absolutely on it. These are the things that we need to talk about. Even when you talk about, the whole burnout being celebrated as hustle, right? Recently, the year changed over, right? There were some people who left their dealership at, 7:00 and they were like, oh, but such and such stayed till 10:00. So that makes that person that much better. Like, come on. No, it's not, right? Let folks spend some time with their family. Let folks have a little bit of work-life balance, right? When it matters. Come on now, right? So again, those are some of the things that, people run into, man. I think that if we really, really dive into it, right, we'll understand that you have to have a growth path for your people, right? That is something that I believe is just plain integral.
Wait a minute, Ali, before you go to the growth path real quick, Ali, I apologize. I want to close out the culture segment. This is very, very important. I want all managers and owners to please listen to my words. Hear my words, my avatar voice. Hear me, right? When I say this, I want you all to understand something called a holistic approach. Holistic approach is you're not going to go to the gym, LA, and just work out your arms. And you just work out your arms every day. That's it. But you don't work out your back, your chest, your legs, your all the little, body parts and muscles. You just work just your arms, biceps. That might be great that you have Cop Diesel like biceps, but you look like Gumby, or you look like the before picture, between the before and after pictures, right? And everything else. That's not going to be good. So the same thing here is if all you're doing is giving people one type of training, whether it's product training, product knowledge training, or road to the sale training or phone training, but you're not training them on the diversified curriculum or diversified information, or even worse, to the culture standpoint here, you're not allowing them to have dad and daughter time, or husband and wife time, like date night, or going to your kids' games, or going to your kids' recitals. If you are not allowing your people to emotionally recharge themselves, if they are having conflict with their marriage or their children, or they're not healthy, they're like one Twinkie away of having a freaking heart attack on your showroom floor. I'm dead ass serious. There's a reason why Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 corporations, a lot of these big companies, they actually encourage their people. They give them gym memberships. They encourage, I was reading just on the other night, I forgot if it was Norway or Switzerland, one of these, European countries, LA, they like to get a free bus ticket. You got to do, I think, 10 squats. Like literally, there are countries and there are companies that are promoting physical health, physical wellness, exercise, because they understand if somebody's healthier and somebody's happier, well, guess what? They're going to be a better employee. Yeah. You're going to get more. If you're Scrooge McDuck, if you're Ebenezer Scrooge, if you were that type of manager, well, guess what? You'll get more. You'll get more juice out of the squeeze if you're not just focusing on one thing. If you could make sure your people are respected, appreciated, loved, they're enjoying themselves with their family, you're going to get more production out of them. Mm-hmm. Now, I was just kidding. Hopefully you're not Ebenezer Scrooge. LA, I know you got to head out. I'm going to continue this going, but you want to go to break?
I do want to do that real quick. I'm going to say this before I go, because something is I think is super important is that we got to understand that winners like a high bar set, right? So if you want winners on your team, they expect the bar to be set high, right? When you set the bar very low, losers like low bar set, and winners hate that, right? So you got to decide, do I want to attract losers or do I want to attract winners? And I'm telling you what I know, man. Like I would not be I probably wouldn't be with Dealer Synergy. I'm just being real with you, Sean. If the bar was set low, if you were like, oh, LA, you can come in here and just kind of like, yeah, man, don't worry about it, man. You learn one rebuttal. That's fine. Like, I'm like, what? I got to get away from this guy as quick as possible. But no, Sean was like, LA, you have to master this. You got to be the absolute best. And I'm like, yo, that's what I've done. It was attractive to me, right? Because shoot, dadgummit, I'm a winner, right? I want to be around people who push me to do way more than what I thought I could do. And that's one thing that I can count on. Sean Bradley is always going to push me to do more than what I ever thought I could do in the past on my own. Because most of the time we'll justify things. We'll give ourselves excuses even when we think we're not.
So the blind master is just talking about, in my opinion, the career path. Again, sometimes a lot like dealers don't set proper growth path expectations. LA's so right when he says, and this bothers me, is that when people even hire us, they set the bare minimum. Okay, you only need to do 3 or 4 rather than modules. I'm like, guys, these are 5 to 6 video modules. That's it, 5 to 6 minutes. So we're only having people do 15 minutes of training. Again, I get it. You don't want to overwhelm people, but you also don't want to underwhelm people either. Okay. So what we should do is have some clear career paths. If I'm a manager, I want to, let's just say I'm the dealer principal, I'm the owner, or I'm the general manager, I'm the GSM, just on the sales side, right? I want to make sure that I've got a career path for my entire sales team. Every one of my salespeople, I need to know individually what are their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, meaning challenges. What is their SWOT? SWOT. I want to know what they're good at, what they're weak at, what opportunities they have to train them, etc. And I want to create an individual career path. That's what the whole point of a one-on-one is. A one-on-one with a manager. So if I am a sales manager, I'm going to do a one-on-one with my sales rep. If I'm an internet director, I'm going to do a one-on-one with my BDC rep. If I'm a service manager, I'm going to do a one-on-one with my service advisor. And my goal is not just looking at their numbers, their performance. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at what do I need to work on an individual one-on-one basis with this particular employee as far as their education, their skill set. I need to make sure that I'm helping them develop with any type of skill path details, like objections, rebuttals, product knowledge, information, things like that. I need to focus on technology education, CRM, AI, video, social media, website, whatever. I need to work on professional development stuff, vocabulary, ad-libbing, working with difficult people, how to, de-escalate or escalate, utilizing tone and inflection, understanding the science of communications, neurolinguistics, and all that stuff. And then on a, you have a personal development side of things is how do I, win friends and influence people? How do I get better at certain things? You know what I mean? So again, I'm going to go through this. It is skill path. It is professional development. It is personal development, and it's team building. We need to be able to have a clear trajectory. How do we evolve? My goal with my salespeople is, okay, I want to first and foremost give you the basic training so you could be a adequate and a proficient sales consultant. Then my next goal is that's the first goal is I just need to be able to get you to be able to sell cars. Then I need to be able to get you how to master your craft, how to become the best salesperson that you can be on your individual path journey. Then from there is what's the next evolution? Okay, do you go into from sales to sales management, from sales to internet BDC, from sales into F&I, or sales into fixed ops, or sales into marketing advertising, depending if that's an option? Where is your career path? A lot of times the dealerships just have people and they just do what they can do and they shuffle around and they promote from desperation or from situation instead of doing it the right way by design. Begin with the end result in mind. Again, as a salesperson or a BDC rep, how do you become a adequate or proficient sales or BDC rep? Okay, that's phase 1. Phase 2 is how do you become the best at that job? And then phase 3 is now starting to train your evolutionary. What's your next step in your career path? There is little or no training, which is crazy. There is no leadership development and no personal development, which kills people. So if your best people don't see a future with you, they'll build one somewhere else. Oh my God. Let me repeat that. If your best people don't see a future with you and your organization, they will build one with someone else. So make sure that you sell them on the vision. You sell them on the dream, but it's not BS. It's real. Let's switch gears. Reputation, branding, and social proof matters. Okay, so reputation, branding, and social proof matters. So, people research your store before they apply. So again, this is what I was saying to you, Glassdoor and Indeed reviews. So here's a pro tip. Whatever dealership you're at. So for example, if you are Coons Tyson Toyota, I would type Coons Tyson Toyota Glassdoor reviews, Coons Tyson Toyota Indeed.com reviews. If you are, let's just say, ABC Ford, again, Bob Ruth Ford, put Bob Ruth Ford Glassdoor reviews, Bob Ruth Ford Indeed.com reviews. What I'm saying is you need to do this for your own store. Most dealers and managers had no idea that there is employment reviews. And so if you're like, I've got store after store that I work with that had no clue. And when they do that, when they put the name of their dealership in Google search with the words Glassdoor review or Indeed.com review, these are great stores. I've got dealer groups, $100, $200 million dealer groups that their Glassdoor reviews and their Indeed.com reviews are 1 star or 2 stars. And they can't even process like, what's going on here? I thought we have great Google reviews, because it's not a Google review, man. Google reviews are for the public. The Google reviews and Yelp reviews and dealer rate reviews are for citizens, for prospects, for ups to decide if they want to buy a car from you or service car from you or do business with you. Glassdoor reviews and Indeed.com reviews are solely for your employment, your employees, your current and former employees. They have the ability to review you. And why is this important? Think about it. The number one place that people go to if they're looking for a job is your dealership's website and your dealership's employment reviews, not your Google reviews or Yelp reviews or dealer rater reviews. So if your employment reviews suck, don't you think that that's going to stop people, or at least slow people down from wanting to, work for you? Of course it will. So it's very, very important. And we could do another episode, just how we do, a better on the reputation and brand and social proof and things like that. But again, this is what I was talking about. By having positive propaganda, you should be on your social media, on your Facebook, your Instagram, your X, your formerly known as Twitter, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, your WhatsApp, your Snapchat, whatever your social media is, you should be putting positive propaganda always, all your employee stuff. So people want to, like, in my opinion, what I would want to see if I was a potential employee, man, they really love their employees. Look at that. They're always not bragging, but they're always, showcasing and supporting their employees' successes. This person is a salesperson of the month. This is the BDC rep of the month. Oh, hey, this person achieved a new goal. Hey, this person just got certified. Hey, there's this customer review on this salesperson. There's this customer review on this BDC rep. This is all there. Oh, this person have a baby. This person just got married. Oh, this is this person's birthday. Wow. This is how this dealership supports their employees. Happy employees equal happy customers. Leadership transparency is very important. All right, now let's go through to the next section here. But before I do, I say, if your online reputation doesn't reflect the opportunity and growth, top talent won't apply. I'm going to repeat that. If your online reputation doesn't reflect the opportunity and growth, top talent won't even apply. Remember that. Now, next is retention is a leadership skill. All right. So retention is a leadership skill. Retention doesn't happen in HR. It happens every day on the floor. Okay. So what should leaders do daily? Okay. Boom. Daily coaching and conversations. Recognition beyond numbers, listening more than talking, asking, what do you need to win? My God, a manager or owner's job, that is the main aspect. Every day, you need to make sure that your people have everything that they need to be successful. Do they have all the tools? Okay, what are the tools that are needed for this to be successful? Do you have them? Yes or no? Even if you have them, are they set up correctly? Yes or no? If not, then set them up correctly. If they are, okay, have they been trained on said tools? Now, are you sure that they've been trained, or did you just stick them in front of a freaking computer or a video and hope that they got something of it? Or did you verify they actually learned? Did you verify other than saying, did you learn? Did you ask them to demonstrate, to show you? Did you inspect what you expected, or you just assumed? Most people just assume. The other aspect is, okay, do we have all the right tools, resources, technology, etc.? Are they set up correctly? Yes or no? Are they trained on it? Yes or no? Have we verified? Yes or no, etc.? Do they have the right pay plan, the right compensation, the right commissions, the right bonuses, the right spiffs, the right spins? Do they have that? Yes or no? Are they making enough money to survive or not? Because if not, you can't be like, oh, it's on them, because they're going to leave. If they can't support themselves and their family, they're going to freaking leave. So you can either try to help them figure it out, or you're going to be in a constant, perpetual state of losing and replacing, especially out of desperation, right? It's not a good strategy. What else is holding them back? Are they having any conflicts at the dealership with coworkers or managers? You have to do conflict resolution. You got to do dealer therapy if you have to. Do they have a conflict with you? Listen, that's a hard thing, because if they're good or potentially good, you need to figure out what you can do. Maybe have a different manager manage them or what have you, but you want to either figure out a path that you could communicate with them, work with them, or create a different management, coaching thing if they're a good asset, or replace them. But you have to have good communication. Now you got to figure out, do they have any external situations? Are there any medical situations? Are there any, personal priorities or personal issues, whether it's kids, childcare, driving, whatever it is? Do they have any personal problems or stress that's there? It is our job. I'm not a therapist. Yes, you are. I'm not a counselor. Yes, you are. You're either that or you are desperately unemployed, right or wrong. So whether you like it or you don't like it, or you understand, we have got to try to help our employees every way possible, whether that's emotionally, that's economically, it's support, it's technology, it's resources, it's counseling. That's what a manager's job is to do, is to figure it the fudge out, figure it out. What is slowing this person down from maximizing their job, maximizing BDC, maximizing sales? That's what I would say is one of the bare minimum things. You need to find out, what does your person need? Your salesperson, your BDC rep, your managers, what do they need to be successful? Let's move on to the next thing here. Closing and call to actions. This is super important. Dealerships that win long-term and will be the ones that invest in people first. So if you want to keep good people, fix leadership, fix culture, fix clarity. I'm going to repeat that. If you want to keep good people, fix leadership, fix culture, fix clarity. Because I keep hearing from prospects and even some of my clients, oh, the salespeople don't want to do this. The BDC reps don't like that. That's not a salesperson issue, man. That's not a BDC rep issue. When I hear, oh, my BDC rep doesn't want to use the training, they don't want to go through the modules, they don't want to do this, they don't want to join the class. That's not a BDC issue. That is a management issue. That is a leadership issue. And you keep blaming everybody else if you want. You could blame your manager, you could blame your training company, you could blame your manufacturer. But I'm telling you right now, you might not want to hear this, but this is truth. You would blame yourself. Because if it's your company, if you were the dealer principal, if you're the general manager, if you're the GSM or the internet director or whatever department head, this is in your control. You either, like Cardone says, you're either selling or being sold. Your employees are either selling you on why they can't, they shouldn't, or won't do something, or you're going to sell them on why they need to do this for their job. Somebody's going to win. Is it you or is it them? Stop blaming the workforce. Start improving the workplace. Okay, let's stop blaming, oh, salespeople don't want to work, BDC reps don't want to work, millennials don't want to work, they want to this. Stop blaming everybody but yourself. If you're a real manager, step up and figure it out. Before you make an excuse, exhaust every option. You hear me? Before you keep peddling excuses to yourself, your boss, or whoever that you peddle excuses to, exhaust every possibility. Did you try this? Did you try that? Did you try this? Did you try that? Or did you just delegate this or delegate that or hope they would do this or hope they would do that? Exhaust every excuse before you embrace that excuse is what I'm trying to say. Stop blaming workforce. Start improving the workplace. Do me a favor, share this episode with your managers, subscribe to the podcast, and take a hard look in the mirror, because retention starts at the top, people. Again, this is SVB and the place to be. Look, I want you to respect me. I want you to like me. I do care. I don't want to be a jerk or whatever, but I've been doing this too long, man, to look, I've survived almost 30 years in this industry. I survived in 08, 09, the whole economic debacle. I had dealers that had generational franchises with manufacturers that lost their franchises. I've been here where there has been dealer principals from NAMAT, the National Association of Minority Automotive Dealers, right? The NAMAT Association. Most of you don't know this. Who do you think lost their dealerships first? The regular dealers or the minority dealers? Duh, the minority dealers. Do you know that the former president of NAMAD, Damon Lester, who's now a dealer principal of Nissan Abu Dhabi, told me that there was over 40 dealer principals, 40 people that committed suicide. Can you imagine that? Because their lives were ripped apart from them. Recently, he had medical problems because he was the president of NAMAD. He went through medical problems, like almost a heart attack or something crazy like that, because his clients, his dealers, his friends killed themselves because of this. I survived that. We all survived a global pandemic recently. And look, what I can tell you is that humans are resilient. The automotive industry is resilient. But look, man, like, my God, history repeats itself. It's the same shit over and over. Since I've been doing this almost 30 years, attrition's still been the problem. Training's been a problem. Management's been a problem. And until you start addressing it, you're going to still have these same things. But what happens is this. There's roller coasters. Why? Because that's just the economy. There's ups and there's downs. So when it's good, it's good. But when it's bad, it's bad. Until it's good, it's good again. Then it's bad, it's bad. Aren't you tired of the freaking roller coaster? I am. So get off the roller coaster and start to create processes and strategies and lead your company the right way. If you need any help, if you're not sure where to start, reach out to us. If you're not sure, if where to begin, you don't know if it's a people thing, a technology thing, a training thing, a marketing thing, just reach out. It's a free strategy session. Give me a call. Here's my cell phone number, my real cell, 267-319-6776. Call me. Text me. I'll set up a free 30-minute strategy session. No strings attached. No timeshare pitch. I will give you 30 minutes of really strong consulting. Here's what I'm going to say, though. To respect my time, don't come in there and like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? No, come in with a prepared agenda. What questions do you have? What challenges do you have? Ask me for my opinion. Ask me how I could help. Ask me some advice. Ask me whatever you want, but don't just do this as a meet and greet. You know what I mean? Let me help you. Let me give you free advice. And again, if you are listening to this podcast, but you are not a member of our Facebook group, it's the Millionaire Car Salesman Facebook group, then you're missing opportunity because we have 30,000 dealer principals, GMs, GSMs, F&I managers, internet directors, BDC directors. I have employees in 3 countries, in the United States, in the Philippines, and in Belize. My family, my wife, my 2 daughters, are in this business. My daughter's wife, so technically I have 3 daughters. I've got, my wife and 3 daughters are in this business. And we have a tremendous amount of frontline experience, management experience, executive experience, and operational experience. We're here to help all you. So again, with that being said, Happy New Year, everybody. I'll see you when I see you. This is SVP, and you've been listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. If you liked it, you're gonna love Bradley On Demand. Bradley On Demand is the most advanced virtual training, tracking, testing, and certification platform. What does that mean? It's an online university. And if you like this information here, we have hundreds and hundreds of advanced videos, step by step, on how to help you sell more cars more often and more profitably, so sign up now.